In this video, we will learn about inertia of motion. So the tendency of an object to oppose a change in its state of uniform linear motion by itself is called inertia of motion. Let us now understand inertia of motion by taking up some examples. The first example is, you must be familiar with this example. The driver of a bus running at a high speed suddenly applies brakes. The passenger experiences a forward push. So let me explain this by making a rough diagram here. So there is a rough diagram of a passenger sitting in a bus, and this is the seat of the bus. So the lower part of our body is in contact with the bus. This part is in contact, but the upper part of the body is not in contact with the bus. This part is not in contact. Initially, when the bus is moving, the passenger is also moving. But when the bus suddenly stops, the lower part of the body, which is in contact with the bus, stops, but the upper part tends to remain in motion due to inertia of motion, and that is why the passenger experiences a forward push. And due to this very reason, a careless passenger standing in a moving bus or a train may fall with his head in forward direction when the bus brakes to a stop. The next example is, an athlete runs some distance before taking a jump. So when an athlete runs, he gains speed and he has an increased inertia of motion, and due to this inertia of motion, the athlete is able to have a longer jump. Moving on to the next example, a person falls forward with his face downward while getting down from a running bus or a train. So let me make a diagram of this situation. So this is the rough diagram of a person, and this is his feet which are in contact with the ground. So this is the lower part of the person which is in contact with the ground, and is the upper part of the person which is not in contact with the ground. So when he gets down from the bus, the lower part which is in contact with the ground comes to rest, but the upper part tends to remain in motion, and due to which he may fall forward. To avoid falling, a passenger while getting down from a running bus should run a few steps in the direction of motion of the bus. Moving on to the next example. So if an athlete on completing his race stops suddenly, then he may fall in the forward direction due to his inertia of motion. So you must have seen, when an athlete is on the finishing line, he stops slowly, because if he would stop suddenly, then he may fall in the forward direction due to his inertia of motion. The next example is, in a game of cricket, a fast bowler comes running from a long distance before throwing the ball. So by running, he gains a large inertia of motion, and due to this large inertia of motion, he can bowl at a faster pace. The next example is, a luggage is usually tied with a rope on the roof of the bus or the car. When a moving bus or car suddenly stops, the luggage on its roof tends to continue in its state of motion and may fall down from the roof. And to avoid this falling of the luggage, it is tied with a rope on the roof of the bus or the car. And when the bus or the car suddenly starts motion from its rest position, the luggage placed on the roof maintains its rest position and may fall backward if the luggage is not tied with a rope on the roof. So the last example which we will be going to study is, the driver and the passengers in a car should wear seat belts. So we have already discussed in a previous example that when a car suddenly stops, the passengers feel a forward push. So if the car stops suddenly due to an emergency braking or an accident, the driver and the passengers are thrown forward violently due to the inertia of motion, and they may hit the steering wheel or the windscreen, and this may cause injuries. And to prevent this risk of injuries, the driver and the passenger must wear seatbelt, which prevents the driver and the passengers from possible throw in forward direction. Third type of inertia which we will be talking about is inertia of direction. The tendency of an object to oppose any change in its direction of motion is called the inertia of direction. So let us understand inertia of directions by taking up a few examples. So we have taken a string and a stone is tied to it, and it is whirled in a horizontal circle. And if this spring breaks, the stone will fly off tangentially. You can see in this diagram, the stone is being whirled by a boy, and if the spring breaks, the stone will fly off tangentially. So this is because earlier the pull provided by the hand of a person was forcing the stone to whirl along a horizontal circle. But as soon as the string breaks, the pull vanishes and the stone flies off tangentially due to its directional inertia. Let us move to the next example. The sparks produced during sharpening of a knife or a blade of scissors against a grinding wheel leave the rim tangentially due to the inertia of direction. Now, the third example is you must have been familiar with when a fast moving bus or a car negotiates a curve on the road, passengers of the bus experience an outward push. So, you must have experienced when there is a sharp turn, you experience an outward push. It is because a passenger tends to maintain his direction of motion, and this is due to the inertia of direction. I hope this topic is clear to you. Thank you.